Yes, sir, man. You already know what it is. We are back here to serve some more game on the ground for them hungry hounds. So just get out the pound and I'm ready for the next round. Still got some fucking hair in my mouth from shaving earlier. Damn, bro, that shit is annoying as hell. But with that being said, you already know what it is, man. Y'all can see the title of this episode, this live, whatever you want to call it. Iran Israel peace deal. Yes, Iran and Israel came to a peace deal. That is 100% facts. It was just announced earlier today, in fact. So we're going to listen to what J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, has to say. Because he went on Fox News earlier. And, yeah, so we're going to check that out. All y'all sitting around crying about Trump this and Trump that can shut the fuck up. All y'all sitting around crying saying Israel this, Israel that can shut the fuck up. Now, y'all can really shut the fuck up. And if you continue complaining after everything is said and done, then you a bozo. And that's a fact. You are a basement dwelling, no life bozo. So, with that being said, let's go ahead and get this pulled up. And we're going to jump right into it. Let me change this layout real quick. Boom, here we go. Alright. We're going to jump into it. I'm going to have it sped up, just you already know. So let's get it, man.
About what happened with Iran in the Middle East and some breaking news coming just now. Joining us this evening, Vice President J.D. Vance. Mr. Vice President, thanks for coming.
Absolutely. Thank
Just
you.
seconds ago, the President went to Truth Social and typed this. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire. Complete and total ceasefire is what he typed.
Yep.
What does that mean? How did it come about? What's the development?
Yeah.
Here?
Well, we were actually working on that just as I left the White House to come over here. So that's good news that the president was able to get that across the finish line. I think what it means, Brett, is quite simple. First of all, the president, without, knock on wood, having a single American casualty, obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. We are now in a place where we weren't a week ago. A week ago, Iran was very close to having a nuclear weapon. Now, Iran is incapable of building a nuclear weapon with the equipment they have because we destroyed it. So that's a very, very big thing. Now, what that means, I think, is we have to talk to Iran and, of course, to Israel about what the future holds. Because while we have obliterated the Iranian nuclear program, our hope and our expectation is that they're not going to try to rebuild that program. And I think that's what the president is really trying to figure out here, is to build
He said, forget any sand dweller monkeys, man. Man, for real.
a long-term settlement here to where we can have peace in the region, where our regional allies, and of course the American people, most importantly, can be secured, but where we can ensure that the destruction of the Iranian nuclear program that has already happened is not something they try to rebuild.
I want to get to the obliterated part in just a minute, but I just want to read this fully so I get the context
Yep.
here. Congratulations to everyone. It has been fully agreed by and between Israel and Iran that there will be a complete and total ceasefire in approximately 6 hours from now, when Israel and Iran have wound down and completed their in-progress final missions for 12 hours, at which point, the ceasefire for 12 hours,
Sure.
at which point the war will be considered ended. Officially, Iran will start the ceasefire, and upon the 12th hour, Israel will start the ceasefire, and upon the 24th hour, an official end to the 12-day war will be saluted by the world. During each ceasefire, the other side will remain peaceful and respectful on the assumption that everything works as it should, which it will. I would like to congratulate both countries, Israel and Iran, on having the stamina, courage, and intelligence to end what should be called the 12-day war. This is a war that could have gone on for years and destroyed the entire Middle East, but it didn't and never will. God bless Israel, God bless Iran, God bless Iran, God bless the Middle East, God bless the United States of America, and God bless the world.
Yes, sir. Your boy Trump secured the peace deal, man. A lot of y'all sitting around crying about, man, we blew up Iran's nuclear equipment. Fuck yeah, we did. And you heard what he said. We did it without a single American casualty, which means that it was, the mission was completed with perfection, with precision. You know, Nick feeling stupid, but this is also prophetic with end times peace in the Middle East. You know, it's funny. You said that because I ain't gonna lie, brother. I was legit. I was gonna speak on that, but I get butterfly feelings in my stomach now because I'm like, yo, is this part of it or nah? Not yet. Who knows? We're gonna talk about it a little more though.
He seems confident that this is all coming together.
That's right.
And when you left the White House, were you thinking this was all gelling here?
When I left the White House, I thought that we might be able to get it across the finish line before this broadcast, and it looks like the president has been able to do that. I mean, look, he's been working the phones constantly. Frankly, before the 12-day war started, but certainly over the past 12 days, the president's been extremely clear about America's national objective here. It is to create a world where Iran cannot build a nuclear weapon. We, of course, destroyed the nuclear program that they had, and the president told the entire team, we're going to work to make sure that they don't try to rebuild that nuclear capability in the future. And look, this is a great thing. For Israel, think about this. They've accomplished an important military objective. They've helped us destroy the Iranian nuclear program. They've also destroyed the conventional missile capability of Iran that threatened the country of Israel. For the Iranians, I think this is a new opportunity to actually pursue the path of peace. As I said yesterday, what the Iranians have showed through their support of terror networks, through their now failed effort to build a nuclear weapon, is that they're just not very good at war. And I think the president really hit the reset button and said, look, let's actually produce long-term peace for the region. That's always been his goal. I actually think when we look back, we will say the 12-day war was an important reset moment for the entire region.
Would you be surprised if Iran is sending out signals that it doesn't have a specific ceasefire plan? How would the communication have been with the Iranians to get this level of confidence to put out that detailed statement?
Well, one of the things I've learned, Brett, about the Iranians in the past, 4 or 5 months that I've been in this job is what they say publicly and privately can sometimes be very different. I think what the Iranians have shown very clearly is they don't want this war to go on for much longer. Their air defenses have been totally destroyed. Their conventional missile program has been largely destroyed. And of course, their nuclear program has been obliterated, as I said before. So I think the Iranians are at a place where they don't want to keep on fighting. You saw the president, and I don't have the truth in front of me, but he talked about the next 6 hours finalizing the attacks. I mean, I think what he's talking about is right now for the American.
You know, it's funny was Trump told what's his face that he needed complete and total surrender from them. Now they have no choice but complete and total surrender because they have barely any military capabilities right now. So they have no choice but complete and total surrender. And homeboy laughed at it at first, but now it's like when you tell your kid, if you do this again, I'm finna whoop your ass. Like if you go across that, if you run out into that street without stopping and looking both ways again, I'm gonna whoop your ass. And he laughs at you, and he does it right there in front of you. And he after he does it, he laughs at you. You go out there and you whoop his ass. Now he has no choice but not to do it again, otherwise he's gonna get whooped again. That's exactly what that's like.
American people watching, it's dark over there. That's typically when the Israelis and the Iranians have been shooting at each other. I think there's some recognition that might continue for another few hours, and tomorrow really is a new day. The end of the 12-day war, the end of the Iranian nuclear program, and I really do believe the beginning of something very big for peace in the Middle East.
So you said totally obliterated. The president has said totally obliterated the Iran nuclear program.
Yeah.
Do you know for sure where all the highly enriched uranium is?
Well, Brett, I think that's actually not the question before us. The question before us is, can Iran enrich the uranium to a weapons-grade level, and can they convert that fuel to a nuclear weapon? And we know, based on the success of our mission, of course, the leadership of the president, but the incredible skill of our military, that the two mission objectives are completely successful. We know that they cannot build a nuclear weapon. Now, you asked about the highly enriched uranium.
Yeah, like 900 pounds of it.
But what we know, Brett, is that uranium is something that exists in very large supply. Our goal was to bury the uranium. I do think the uranium is buried, but our goal was to eliminate the enrichment and eliminate their ability to convert that enriched fuel into a nuclear weapon. I think that's an important point, Brett, because so many of the folks who have focused on the highly enriched uranium, the main focus, Brett, has been to destroy their enrichment capacity, because we don't want that 60% uranium to become 90% uranium. That's the real concern, and that's what was so successful about our mission.
So after all this, the Iranian government survived.
Blew that shit up. Y'all talking about, man, the ground don't look any different than what it did before. Yeah, because it's called bunker busters, dumbass. It's not meant to leave fucking craters in the ground. Shout out to the 6 people up in this chat. If you ain't a bozo, hit that like button.
As is, what's to stop it from rebuilding over time if they in fact moved the 60% highly enriched uranium? That's a concern.
No, the big concern, Brett, and this is again what we destroyed, is their ability to enrich uranium. If they have 60% enriched uranium, but they don't have the ability to enrich it to 90%, and further, they don't have the ability
3 of them left. Get your ass up on out of here, fools.
to convert that to a nuclear weapon, that is mission success. That is the obliteration of their nuclear program, which is why the president, I think, rightly is using that term. But here's the question. If Iran is desperate to build a nuclear weapon in the future, then they're going to have to deal with a very, very powerful American military again. Our hope is that the lesson that the Iranians have learned here is, look, we can fly a bunker buster bomb from Missouri to Iran completely undetected without landing once on the ground, and we can destroy whatever nuclear capacity you build up. I think that lesson is what's going to teach them not to rebuild their nuclear capacity.
Yesterday, were you speaking on the president's behalf when you said he was not interested in regime change?
Well, Brett, what I've said is the American military, that is not our mission as regime change. Our mission was to destroy the nuclear facilities and the nuclear program of Iran, which we, of course, did. I think what the president's also said is that the Iranian people...
If you ain't a two-skin raider, hit the like button. Monkey sandwich. No, that's facts. But you know what's crazy? I just got to realizing we're pretty close, if not around, half of the first year of Trump's second term. And how long is a presidential term? 4 years. Take away half of that first year. What do you have left? 3.5 years. What does the Bible say about peace in the Middle East? It said there will be 3.5 years of peace, followed by 3.5 years of tribulation. We'll get into it more. But it's slowly starting to become a little more, I guess, visual, so to speak. I don't know. I don't really know a good way to put it.
Want to make a decision about regime change? That's between the Iranian people and the regime. Of course, we support freedom fighters all around the world, but our mission was to destroy the nuclear facilities, and that's what we did.
So you don't think there's any mixed message when he goes to Truth Social and says it's not politically correct to use the term regime change, but if the current Iranian regime is unable to make Iran great again, why wouldn't there be a regime change? Miga.
Well, I think what the president is saying very clearly, Brett, is if the Iranian people want to do something about their own leadership, that's up to the Iranian people. What the American national security interest here is very simple. It's to destroy the nuclear program. That's what we've done. And now that the 12-day war appears to be effectively over, we have an opportunity, I think, to restart a real peace process. And Brett, this is not just about two countries, Iran and Israel. All of these Gulf Arab states, they want peace. They want to invest. They want to build artificial intelligence hardware. They want to sort of come into the new economy.
Fuck artificial intelligence. We don't need AI, bro. We don't need AI. I keep saying this over and over and over again. AI has already gotten too advanced. We don't need it. Leave it alone. Scrap the project. Scrap the idea.
And that was impossible when you
It will do more harm than good. I guarantee you that.
had Iran that was, as the president said, acting like a bully across the Middle East. We really think that if the Iranians are smart about the path forward, this could be a new dawn of an economic age of prosperity, of course, for our Gulf Arab allies, for us, for the Israelis, for everybody, but it's going to require the Iranians to play it smart from here.
The president called it very weak, the Iran missile firing on the U.S. base in Qatar, El Udeid. Was it a face-saving move? How do you get from that, firing missiles at a U.S. base, to a ceasefire, as he details in this Truth Social?
Well, as the president said, they actually gave us some warning here. And we think they gave us some warning because they didn't want to kill Americans and they didn't want to escalate. There's definitely some symbolism to this, Brett. If you look at the Iranian attack, it was 14 missiles that they telegraphed ahead of time. We dropped 14 bunker buster bombs. As the president told me earlier, our missiles, our bombs were a little bit bigger than their bombs. Our bombs actually accomplished the goal of eliminating their nuclear program. But look, we're happy, again, to restart the peace process as the president just did today.
Was the message delivered directly to the U.S. or through an emissary?
The message is always delivered through some sort of intermediary. That's been consistently true of the Iranians. Of course, we'd love to talk to them. The president's been clear about this. We'd love to have a direct conversation about how we move this thing forward because, again, we have to step back here. Why did the president do what he did over the past week? It's so that we could destroy their nuclear program. If they try to rebuild it, they're going to be on the wrong end of American power once again. We don't want that. I think they don't want that, but the ball's in their hands.
You've been reluctant, or at least cautious, about getting engaged previously.
Dude, they would be retarded to try and rebuild their nuclear program. But, I wouldn't be surprised if some rogue extremists tried to gather what would be left of the rubble of the nuclear program and try to somehow restart it. I wouldn't be surprised. They would probably get shut down pretty quickly, but, at the end of the day, it wouldn't be surprising.
And that has been public. What made you sign on to this action this time?
Well, I think the president has been very clear, and I've always agreed with the president that Iran can't have a nuclear weapon. And you try to run the diplomatic process as much as you possibly can. When the president decided that wasn't going to work, he took the action that he had to take. Now we're in a new phase. That action was successful. We had a wildly successful military operation to take out their nuclear program. Now let's go on to the next phase. And I think the president, look, sometimes he's willing to use peace. Sometimes he's willing to use the military. I think it really depends on what the Iranians do from here.
And what do you think they do from here?
Well, it's an open question.
And that's why it's important that you have a strong and chess smart person as your leader to know when to use force, when to use words, when to use diplomatic solutions, when to demonstrate a little show of force, when to show restraint, and when to go deeper into the force side of things. And that's exactly what Trump did, bro. He knew how to show a little bit of strength without doing too much to extremely escalate it. Because some people, they would have been tripping out and they probably would have just started sending bombs over there, like just straight up bombs. But Trump knew what he was doing, which is 100% facts. And if you don't like that, if you don't agree with it, you can get your ass up on out of here.
Brett, I don't want to predict what the other side will do, but I think that I know what we'll do if they continue to pursue a nuclear weapon, and I hope they don't choose that path because I know the president wants to see the Middle East become peaceful and prosperous in the future. That's not going to happen if Iran pursues a nuclear weapon again.
And for the people, so we talked about the people who believe that this is going towards World War III, especially in your own party. There's a section that's very vocal. There's another section that says you should take out this regime because it's evil and horrible and has done horrible things for decades. How do you square those two sides? And can this regime stay in place and still have a peaceful, reaction relationship with the U.S.?
Well, I think the president has squared those two sides quite well. One, because he's the leader of the movement, and a lot of people trust the president as they should. They recognize they're not seeing the same intelligence, they're not seeing the same classified documents. They trust the president to do a good job. But importantly, Brett, I think he's threaded the needle quite well here. We had a very particular objective. It was profound and difficult to accomplish. The elimination of the Iranian nuclear program, and I think the president successfully did that. You're asking, were the Iranians close to a nuclear weapon? Brett, they were very close to a nuclear weapon. And what I encourage my fellow Americans to think about here is that a week ago, the Iranians were quite close to achieving a nuclear weapon. Now they cannot build a nuclear weapon. That is the biggest testament to the president's leadership and to the success of our mission. In 1 week, without, thank God so far, not losing a single American casualty, we have taken what was a threatening nuclear program that could have destabilized the entire world. Now that program is gone. We did it through effective presidential leadership and also some very, very competent work from our troops.
The fact that they were that close to having a nuclear weapon is actually low-key scary. Because what a lot of y'all don't understand is how just out of control Iran tends to be, especially when they get all up in their feelings. When they get out of control, they just let it out. Like a chimpanzee realizing that he's stuck in the zoo. And somebody like that having a nuclear weapon, the whole world should be nervous. Because somebody who don't know how to control themselves is dangerous like a motherfucker. So the whole world needs to be grateful that Trump spanked Iran and took away their toys. And so there would go full Keisha giving that type of weapon. Bro, there's no telling what lengths they would go to. Like, that's they'd be on some, Antichrist beast just devouring the world type shit. I'm not saying they are the Antichrist, but somebody who's unhinged that has control of nuclear weapons, they would be on that level. They would just, anybody they didn't like, they would just launch some nukes at them, and that is not ideal for anybody in the world at all.
How often does it happen where you're going to do an interview and you get a Truth Social seconds before? You have some sense of it, but it's pretty detailed, where you are being asked about something the president has just put out.
In this administration, Brett, it happens quite a bit, actually. But we knew this was coming. The draft, it was interesting. I just read the draft about 2 minutes before we went on the air. It was a little bit different from what the president had showed me a couple of hours ago. But again, I knew that he was working the phones as I was on the way over here. So I knew exactly what we were going to do. And look, I love that about this presidency and this administration, is he's always working. He doesn't say, the vice president's going to do an interview, so I'm going to stop doing anything. He says, we're going to do the American people's business. The vice president knows what I'm trying to accomplish. And if I get it done, great, because we're going to talk about it and celebrate it, because it is a thing to celebrate. I can't emphasize this enough, Brett. We have destroyed the Iranian nuclear program. 0 Americans have died. That's an amazing, amazing thing. Americans, whether Democrats or Republicans, we should be celebrating that.
Mr. Vice President, we appreciate you coming and rolling with the punches as well. Thank you for the time.
Thanks, Brett. Good to see you.
Hey, Sean Hannity here.
Yes, sir, man. Let's go. Let's go. Trump and J.D. Vance for the fucking W, bro. That is 100% facts. Trump and J.D. Vance for the W. Let me see this real quick.
Sources tell CBS News Iran's retaliation was expected.
Say Trump reacts to Iran's retaliatory strikes on Qatar, calls attack a weak response. I want to see this. I haven't heard what he said yet. I mean, I heard along the lines of what he said, but I haven't actually heard it yet.
And calibrated. Now, we're learning U.S. officials held meetings this weekend and this morning to prepare for an attack on the U.S. airbase in Qatar. So let's bring in CBS News senior White House and political correspondent Ed O'Keefe. And what do we know about the U.S. and its preparation for this attack? Clearly, how is it proceeding this retaliation also?
Well, Jules, just a few moments ago, the president himself on Truth Social laid out some of the details in his reaction to tonight's attacks on the U.S. military base there in Qatar. Writing on Truth Social, Iran has officially responded to our obliteration of their nuclear facilities with what he calls a very weak response, which we expected and had very effectively countered. He says there have been 14 missiles fired by Iran. 13 were knocked down, and 1 was set free because it was headed in a non-threatening direction. He adds, I'm pleased to report that no Americans were harmed and hardly any damage was done. Most importantly, they've gotten it all out of their system. And there will hopefully be no further hate, he says. I want to thank Iran for giving us, this is important, early notice, which made it possible for no lives to be lost and nobody to be injured. Perhaps Iran can now proceed to peace and harmony in the region, and I will enthusiastically encourage Israel to do the same. He adds in a subsequent Truth Social, congratulations, world, it's time for peace. So what the president, at least right now, is signaling perhaps is, we did what we did over the weekend. Iran has now responded in kind. Let's leave it at that and try to move on or try to get back to the negotiating table. And he confirms a few details there. One, he says Iran gave someone a heads up that this was happening, so the United States was prepared. 2, the number of missiles, we had heard some of that, similar figures, about 14 of them, most missing the airbase. And then the fact that no Americans were killed, We did not have specific casualty figures yet, but we know now that yes, over the weekend and into this morning, the president and his team were anticipating and preparing for this kind of retaliatory strike. You heard the Speaker of the House a little while ago say he got a classified briefing this morning where the possibility of this was raised, and the early indications came when Qatar closed its airspace earlier today. That was a signal that they were anticipating something happening.
So basically, he called Iran a bunch of pussies. Basically, bro, that's basically what he said. But man, let's talk about this peace in the Middle East deal real quick. Matter of fact, I got an idea. Let me get my phone on the charger first, and we'll be able to carry on. Where the fuck this fucking thing is, bro? What the hell? What type of shit going on here? What the fuck? I can't find the fucking... There we go. Shit. Alright. I'm gonna look something up real quick on here. And we gon' actually I'm gonna look up a couple of things and we're gonna discuss it. We're gonna look at when the president first takes office. Not when he wins the election, but when he first takes office, like takes over and whatnot. January 20th or January 21st. Okay. It is currently the 23rd of June. So that's about 5 months in. So just about half a year. Now we're going to look up if I can type properly. Time times and half a time, or 42 months, or 1,260 days in various contexts. 11:2. So we're going to go to Revelation chapter 11 verse 2. And we're going to look at this real quick. Revelation chapter 11 verse 2. Iran. What the hell are you talking about, bro? Can you like speak an actual sentence? Can you make sense of words, or are you just gonna sit there and blurt something out over and over again? Okay, hold on. Trample the holy city for 42 months. No. Okay, that's not what I'm looking for. Flies in the wilderness, which is nourished for a time. Look through. Alright, it says during, and this is he said do pay homage to a country he ain't even capitalized the first letter of. What a sand clown. He probably got a vibrator up his ass that can't control himself. Facts. Alright, so I'm going to read this real quick. This isn't in. This isn't straight from Scripture, but this is what it says about it. It says, during the first half of the tribulation, 3.5 years, the Antichrist will establish a false peace, particularly with Israel, and begin to consolidate his power. This period is marked by a treaty with Israel, seemingly offering protection and security, which the Antichrist will later violate. Simultaneously, 2 witnesses will prophesy for 1,260 days, or 3.5 years, in Jerusalem, facing persecution but ultimately not being killed until the midpoint of the tribulation. So here's the first event in the beginning of the 3.5 years of peace. The Antichrist will make a covenant with Israel, promising them protection, independence, and security. The second event of the first 3.5 years, the Antichrist will rise to prominence, likely filling a power vacuum left by the decline of a major world power, often interpreted as the United States. Interesting. Event number 3 in the first 3.5 years. 2 prophets will preach in Jerusalem for 1,260 days, facing opposition and persecution from the Antichrist, but not being killed until the midpoint of the tribulation. The fourth event of the first 3.5 years. While the Bible doesn't explicitly detail prosperity, a period of peace often accompanies relatively prosperous times. Okay, that's not one of the events. That's just speculation of what could happen. And then after it says, the first 6 seals of Revelation, which include conquest, war, famine, and death, are believed by some to occur during this period, according to some Bible scholars. It's a game time. Oh, word, you want to play? Oh, so you want to play. Yeah, no. Bye-bye, goofball. Yeah, get your ass up on out of here, fool. Then it says, opening of the 5th seal. Martyrs in the first half of the tribulation will cry out for judgment, and then Satan will be cast down to earth. So one thing that I do have to say that I don't see lines up with this being part of the 3.5 years of peace is how it's supposed to be the Antichrist that achieves that 3.5 years of peace. That period of peace. I don't see Trump being the Antichrist. I don't. I could be wrong. I could very well be wrong, and something could happen. But I just personally don't see him as the Antichrist. I didn't even see what his a lol okay Barbie has said. He was just spouting a bunch of bullshit. Same old basement dweller shit that everybody spouts. But I don't see Trump as the Antichrist unless somehow, he just had these ulterior motives the whole time and just ain't cared and just kept him secret for as good as he did, as long as he would have if he was. Now it does say that the Antichrist will deceive many, and if even possible, the elect. So it's a possibility, but I personally don't think that he is. That's the main thing that I see that doesn't really line up. But what's interesting to me is what it says right here. The Antichrist will rise to prominence, likely filling a power vacuum left by the decline of a major world power, often interpreted as the United States. That right there is interesting to me, because the U.S. is the most powerful country in the world, right? We are the greatest country in the world. And it's a power vacuum left by the fall of one of the world's decline of a major world power. And it's interesting how they would see America as that major world power. So what I'm wondering is, could the Antichrist come on the scene after these next 3.5 years of Trump being in office? Could he be working behind the scenes right now? I mean, obviously he is. Could he be setting the stage for himself right now as we speak, so that he can come into play and trick everybody into voting for him, and then next thing you know, just start bombing Israel or whatever the case may be? It's a possibility. I'm not saying that it is what's happening right now, but it's a possibility. You know, I've always thought that Trump could be the one to achieve that 3.5 years of peace. Then after him would come the Antichrist. I've always thought that that was a possibility. He said, now go make another account, you Iran gerbil. America owns you, sweet brown beans, and now you can't even talk in the chat. Powerless viewer. That's 100% facts. But it's interesting to me. But whenever I sit back and I analyze it, that's the one major piece that doesn't align with 3.5 years of peace. But like I said, I could be wrong. Who knows? Or it could be J.D. Vance. Who knows? Or it could be neither. Who knows? So with that being said, I appreciate y'all for tapping in, man. Make sure y'all share with your friends, your families, your mummies, your aunties, your grannies, and everybody else that y'all know. Keep crying about Trump. Keep crying about the U.S. Keep crying about Israel and Iran, because guess what? It's all said and done with for now. So y'all can take y'all crying asses and go shove your face into your pillow and punch your bed and all this, that, and the third. You know what's crazy is some of y'all wanted Trump to fail so that you can accuse him of being a horrible president. Some of y'all hate Trump so much to the point to where you wish that he would have failed these negotiations and ended up getting us into war. But you over here saying you didn't vote for war and all this, that, and the third, but you hate Trump so much that you wanted him to fail so that we would go to war, so that you could criticize him and all this, that, and the third. Like, what sense does that make? I'm finna get you up on out of here because you talking all that shit too. I didn't ask. I'm speaking. I did not ask what you thought. Fuck your thoughts. Bitch, I give a fuck what you thinking. Fuck your thoughts. And with that being said, that is the perfect lead up to let Rev take it from here. We out. Imagine truth is potato chip mouth that crying about Trump. Hell no. We finna let Rev take it over from here, man.
Serious and you looking for a Christ man, the one who anointed with the Lord, with the Spirit of the Lord, to do his will. I'm that nigga.
Motherfucker, because it's my world, and every motherfucking thing in it. That including your asshole, too.
Well, if God send the devil in the name of Jesus by the power of the Holy Spirit, then motherfucker, you fucked up, huh? You fucked up, huh? You know your ass is doomed. What you got to speak? If you don't know shit to speak on this topic I'm bringing up, shut your goddamn ass up.
What do you say, Gerard, you ignorant slut?
I don't think I'm God. I ain't saying I think I believe. I know, and if you study the words, you study my book, you will know I'm me too.
You didn't create the heaven and the earth, baby.
But I did. I'm that motherfucker. You know me, don't you?
Hell no, I don't want you.
You don't know me? It's shame on your goddamn ass then. Shit, I'm the motherfucker. Give a fuck what you believe in. Believe in you some goddamn Ku Klux Klans members, don't you? And house nigga, bitch-made ass, ninkum fucking poops, monkey-minded, Afrocentric motherfuckers. You wanna call me and tell me your opinion? You're really serious and you're looking for a Christ man, the one who anointed with the Lord, with